What topics are on your mind for today? What was the one over there? Go in or knowing? Okay. What was the other one? Okay, thanks. Okay, hold on. What was the other one over here? Yeah. Okay. Wow. I don't know if I can add to Sweet Surrender more than the song did. But a good variety again: grief, embracing darkness, surrender, peace, service, and a few others. Yes. To address the ones related to grief, surrender, embracing darkness, just for a moment, it's an amazing thing. You know, this is the fall season again, and it's a common time for things to fall away. And there's a part of me that I love that. I love looking at the world and listening to what's happening, the vibes, the seasons. I don't make them have control over me, but I like to ride the wave of them. So I co-create, I coexist with things like that. The vibes in a room, like asking you what you'd like me to talk about, right? It's a very beautiful way for a musician to play and connect with the audience, to see where they're at, to play with them, not at them, to speak and share, to counsel with people, with them, not at them. Whatever it is, life coaching with them, not at them, parenting with them, not at them. I know there are variations of how much we should emphasize our role. I get that. But the fall season, it's a common time for things to fall away. And some of you have enjoyed my sense of humor when I say things like, in the fall season, what would you think of your neighbors with super glue and ladders trying to glue leaves back on the trees? No, but I don't want things to fall away. I want the leaves to stay. And that's kind of funny to imagine that. But it's what we do. When we're grieving, there's nothing wrong with grieving. It's a natural season. To everything, there is a season, right? In the wisdom books of Solomon, and also a song by the Birds. So things need to fall away. But what people don't realize is that one apostle said, I die daily. There are things of my being that I can allow to go every day, seasonally as well. Nature has a thing called the dark night of the soul. So you die daily, meaning things change every day, but then seasonally. But then every so many years you go through the dark night of the soul, which is a big cleansing of things. If you missed anything in your annual cleansings, this should be like a high school course where they, okay, hi kids, welcome, Today we're going to talk about how to deal with, do your annual cleansings well, because whatever you miss, there's a street sweeper called the dark night of the soul that's going to come in and just make sure we get all the rest. But humans, interestingly enough, and it mentions this in the Teacher's Manual of A Course in Miracles, this should be painless. And you read this and go, this is Jesus channeled through a course, and he says, this need not be painful. Thank you, Jesus, excellent. But then the next sentence is, but it usually is. And it's like, dang it, you had me for a moment, man, and I was all excited. But he reminds us, but he usually is. But why? Because if I'm holding this pen and you say, hey, can I have that pen? And you really need it, life and death situation. I hand it to you. It's all effortless. But if I grip it, and the more you need it, the more you start to pry it from my hands, the more painful it is for me, because you're trying to pry it, not receive it, from my hands. And that's what nature's doing. It's saying, this is going to go now. No, I don't want it to. And the leaves are falling. And you're out there trying to glue them back. You can't keep up with them. It's kind of silly. It's just kind of silly. There's a movie that was filmed once that this dramatic scene. They needed all these blossoms from the cherry blossom, apple blossom trees, those beautiful pink and white flowers. And they ran behind schedule, so they were a week late. So they had the crew go and actually start gluing blossoms back on to the flowers of the trees so they could get the shot. And this is what human beings do all the time with leaves. Leave it alone. Leave it be. Leave, go. And I'm saying that sounding flippantly, but I understand it. It's easy to say, isn't it wonderful to go with the seasons and allow change? When it's someone that you love passes away, when it's an attachment to a relationship that ends, whatever it is, the things we value are going to cause us more pain. The things we value, we grip harder to keep. But the mother, the divine mother, is the universe. This is her womb that gives birth. But it also, in a sense, forgive the analogies, it also menstruates. It also has to release regularly. But sometimes it also is known as the participant in birthing. Birthing doesn't always mean you have to have a baby or birth a baby, because it's not a gender thing. It's not an actual, that's not the process I'm talking about. I'm talking about nature. So the womb clears out and regenerates itself. And that, again, is like nature. So we have these reflections all around us. And human beings don't realize that when you experience a loss, like fall season is an organic, natural loss. Even as you're driving, oh, look at the colors. I'm telling you, subconsciously, what you're really going is, uh-oh. Because every loss brings up every other loss. One death is never one death. You don't just have someone die in your life and then just grieve that. It's every time you ever lost anyone. Even a girlfriend that moved away when you were in elementary school, your best friend. Any loss is all losses. And you breathe that in for a moment. Like, imagine the magnitude. Things are not linear nor in boxes and controlled the way we would like them to be. Every loss, and then what they symbolized. The loss of a mentor means the loss of anyone you've ever respected. And it isn't even just from this lifetime. Losing a beloved parent, a grandparent that was really there for you and really looked out for you. You might be grieving terribly, but you might be grieving standing at the base of the cross watching Jesus die. Or a beloved teacher, whether it was a philosophical mentor or a chemist teacher, someone whomever you respected. One loss is all losses. And human beings think they're always thinking they're so overwhelmed all the time. I can't take it. So they just want only these micro levels of change. And they wonder why they don't have magnificent levels of a new life coming in. If this is all you're giving the universe, that's all you get back. I'll grieve a little. Oh, okay, well, we'll see if we can fit anything into that new space you've left. And I'm not saying that we should be the opposite, careless and just toss everyone aside, and so on, heartlessly. I'm talking about being real. The idea of grieve the grief, but do you even know what it is? There are certain cultures that believe in this, that when they grieve, they actually, deep from their inner gut, man, they grieve. And you think, wow, that's a lot of pain. Because culturally they've been taught to experience it like a ritual. Grieve big, and let that out. The mourners at the side, you see some cultures, the mourners at the side at a funeral, at a gravesite. The big tears, and to some of us it's like, wow, that's kind of intense. But it's because culturally they're taught, let it all go. Not it, all. And the more you do, the more you're making room for the new, the more authentic that those tears are. And it's an amazing thing, but people typically don't have a relationship with themselves to even know that they have grief. It's an amazing thing working in acupuncture, lung 1, this acupuncture point. A lot of people will find it tender to be worked on because it's a point that's connected with ungrieved grief. Unfelt grief. So it's an interesting thing. Nature itself, When the forest is getting too thick, it's called sailing. The winds come and sail, and the branches fall. The snows get on them and snap some of the branches. It's nature's way of keeping everything moving. And yet we're the weirdos, man. We're the ones that have, it's weird. A tree has more intelligence than a human being. How am I saying that? I don't mean it has the intellectual text memorization capacity. I mean, when it's time to let something go, it's going to let it go. It's in its being. It can't not do that. And yet human beings, then the leaves fall. Human beings, the tree's like, this is amazing. Oh, and after the falling away of these leaves, I'm going to take my energy, put it into my roots, and just kind of get into the hearth of life. I'll get into my being and just say, this is amazing. What have we learned from the past? This is great. Now we're going to grow even more branches because we've allowed some of them to fall away, and we'll become fuller and fuller. This is great. And then when I, the tree, am old enough, I pass away, and I'm going to send my energy not just into the roots and then into the earth. I'm going to send it into the Divine Mother. And she's in the trees are in this perfect ecosystem. Animals. I don't want to be a bother. I'll just go off into the woods because it's my time. Everybody has this down except us. And the tree is like, the winds come just the right time and the leaves are falling. And then the tree's all blissed out. And then it's like, and we're over there gluing the leaves back on. What are you people doing? You're supposed to be the stewards of the earth. You're supposed to, our elders, you got to be kidding. And I almost got this. I want my life to be what I want it to be, and it will not be. Why do you think, Buddha said life is suffering? And he says, first, you think you are missing something inside you. That's what all the gluing the leaves back on. You're trying to compensate. Everybody's trying to compensate in some way or another. One more drink, one more this, one more, I got to, lose 5 pounds. I got whatever, obsessions. Why? Where's the peace? It takes a state of surrender to enter that place of, wow, I have been trying to control everything. Sit down on that meditation for a moment. Give it 10 minutes, give it an hour. Make a list, and you'll need a book. You'll need a notebook of pages. The lists of things you have tried to control. What grades you got in this school, not coloring outside the lines in that class, from all the way to maturity, age now, present time. Look at all the ways you've tried to control things. You lose your hair and you can't stand it. So you go to a barber and you collect it off the floor and you get glue and you try to glue that on your head. How does that look? Like pretty bad. But I can't bear that I've lost my hair. Oh, that rhymed. Okay? You can use those lyrics for another song here. I can't bear to lose my hair. It's something. It's there, right? So think about that. And I don't mean to sound rude or gross. It's kind of funny, but human beings got to always the compensate, always the compensatory life, compensating, It's strange. But Buddha was saying, you think you're missing something, and you're not. But you think you are, and then that leads you to going to look for it. And then after you go to look for it, you're hoping to, eventually you find something that feels like it's good enough as your supplement, your compensatory thing, whatever it is. Then he says, but guess what? It won't last. Whatever it is going to die or leave in some form. Then you're going to be miserable, which is what you were in the first place when you thought you're missing something. So life is this cycle of suffering. You can't seem to escape. The only way is step off the wheel and in your center. Surrender all that you thought was flawed in you. Now, if you do this on your own, you're still doing manipulation of your own mind, which is fine. It's better than nothing. But at some point, you surrender to God that does know who you are and what you are. You see? It's like you go from, I should probably let this go, and you're still deciding. There's still you running the show, which is better than nothing. But at some point, I don't know what to wish for. I don't know what to release. I'm going to start living as an awake being in the universe, the womb of the mother. So I'm going to start asking her, I don't know. It's a strange affirmation. I don't know anything. Go into a self-empowerment seminar, and they're going to be like, I'm chic, fabulous, vivacious, sexy, and prosperous. Those are the key phrases that people are putting on their Post-its and sticking on their window, their mirror in their bathroom. I am young and fabulous. If you really understood that, you wouldn't need to use a Post-it and write it on there. You would just know it. And I'm not saying it's wrong to write it. Do it. Staple it to your forehead if you have to. Do what you need to remind yourself that you have value. But one day, you won't need to remind yourself, because you'll just know, because the mother downloads it every second of every day. You are my beloved child in whom I am well pleased. That's the voice Jesus heard, and the people around heard this voice. Jesus, after his baptism, he emerges at another level of, wow, I'm passing my tests where the human self tells me I'm flawed. And I'm waking up. The response, you're my beloved child in whom I'm well pleased. That's exactly what we're all supposed to hear. But you have to go to the mother, and he did. Jesus didn't birth the Christ in himself. The mother births it in him, but he allowed it to happen. He had to live in accordance so that he could become the thing that she was birthing. So the divine mother is to birth all of her children, which is everyone that's ever lived, good or bad, nice or not, that we're all her children. But is it only after you look a certain way that she says, now I'm well pleased? I noticed you took off 5 pounds. Now you're my beloved child. Hey, I noticed you got some money in savings finally. Now I am well pleased. No, that's your human parents. And that's your own head and your own critic that plays these games. No matter what you do, you are her beloved child in whom she is well pleased. And I know that people actually push the envelope. They actually go, really? I'm going to test that. If I get stoned enough, if I'm promiscuous enough, will she still love me? If I murder another person, if I steal, we break the commandments not just because we're weak. We break them to actually rebel against love. But when I say rebel, you're testing love to see, I need to know you're for real, God, that you'll love me no matter what I do. And we do some pretty horrific things to ourselves and others. But you have the right to say, I'm done testing God. I'm going to now surrender and accept that the love is real. See, it's pretty egocentric to think that, first of all, that God says it loves me, but I don't know for sure. So I'm going to be the one to put it to the test and try this out and so on and so on. And we've done some pretty horrible things, compensatory again, like the Buddha thing. You think you're missing something, you go out looking for it. You'll find it, and then it'll go, and now you'll be miserable again. You're not just miserable again, you're going to be more miserable because you went out looking, found, achieved, and it lost. So now you're going to be hurting that time, but also from the original time you thought you were flawed. So our pain is compounding. Horrible interest rates on this. This investment in forgetting who we are comes with horrible interest rates. So if you want to know really how you're doing spiritually, one of the great tools is look at this part. You know, look at how you deal with change and loss. Are you fairly adaptable? Now, being a cold person doesn't mean you're adaptable. Yeah, I have no issue with any change. I don't care. You know, it just means you're a rude person. You know, you're just cold. And then some people just, oh my God, any change at all, they can't take it. Well, in the center, you recognize the change. And if you feel grief, you let it move through you. It's like a vibration. And vibration's an interesting thing because it's like a frequency, but it's a tone. It's a vibration, but the tone is, it's a heaviness. You let that play through and it doesn't stick. Something came through, the wind, the leaves, the branches of a tree, and it makes a sound. No resistance. If the tree tries to resist the wind, snap, crackle, pop. And that's what our bodies do. So there's grief, and rather than give it a home to nest in, I let it sound. It's a frequency, and now once I've sounded it out, it's not stuck in me. Sounding it out is not the same as venting. And there are some people that get into seminars where they're told, yeah, man, go take it out on everybody. That way you're healthy. You're not. You feel better. I feel better now that I blamed you. Wow, I'm breathing easier until the boomerang comes around and the karma of judging a brother and sister as being the cause of your problems. So observe how well you resurrect from any loss, whatever it happens to be. Every form of change. This is easily said, but it's a process. We live every day. How are you handling the changes? How are you handling, your car's getting older or your body's getting old, whatever it happens to be. How are you handling that? There's a really beautiful thing, I think, in elders, in seniors, some that come to that place of peace where they watch everybody else fuss to try to perfect their bodies and they just grin. They just kind of like, there's this old wisdom has set in and wow, you just try so hard to be something you're not, and you're not going to succeed. And I know because I've been there is the wisdom being passed down to us. So change, how do you handle that? Are you okay? Do you fight it? Or do you know how to flow with it? Do you know how to die well? Meaning die your own opinions. Let your old patterns die. Let all your compensatory behaviors, let them die. And practice being at peace. I would be at peace, but there's this thing. I'm a smoker and I shouldn't be a smoker and I'm really working on it. No, you're actually causing yourself greater sickness, fighting it. Come to peace with it. Now, some people go, I can't believe he's enabling smoking. No, I didn't say that. I said, come to peace with it. Amazingly enough, when you come to peace, there's a lot of things that will fall away on their own. That's why a 12-step program includes do this with God. You don't say, I'll get to you in a minute, God. I'm going to perfect myself first. God will be my 13th step, but I got 12 steps to do on my own, and I'm going to get this right. You can't perfect yourself to God. That's called evolution, but it almost never worked for anybody. Very rare the yogi, the mystic that actually woke up by working on themselves. The odds are so bad that it's not an attractive option. So the path of Christ was, instead of perfect, as in, say, the Brahmin or the Shivites or Hinduism or Buddhism even, you clear and you become clearer and clearer and better and more awake and more awake. But how many? 1 in a million, 1 in a billion that pull it off, let's say in a million. Still not odds that I want. So Jesus says, I'll tell you what, I love all those other options. I love those other techniques. But let me let you in on something. If you can forgive yourself for smoking, drinking, whatever it is, it's an amazing thing. Grace will come to you. Grace comes to you. It becomes your consciousness. And now you don't even feel those compulsions for the compensatory because grace brings you back into God, back into your divinity. So if there's such a thing as a shortcut, it's grace, it's forgiveness. It's really a trip if you think about it. A lot of us think about ascension, rising to the 5th dimension or higher. Think about this. I swear to you, I can tell you the number one most effective technique for ascension and rising into 5th dimensional or higher dimensional consciousness. Would you like me to tell you? Okay. Show of hands? It's still not more than 50%, so I'm not going to tell you. One more time. Show of hands? Pretty good. Online too? Okay, cool. Here's how you most easily reach 5th and higher dimension. I swear to you. By forgiving the 3rd dimension and 4th dimension. When you forgive them, there's no Velcro between you and these dimensions, and you rise into higher consciousness. It's true. Like, it's not a trick question. It's not a playful thing. I'm trying to sell something. I'm saying we so easily forget that forgiveness is what brings us to higher levels of consciousness. I understand that yogis and mystics throughout history, masters of different kinds and alchemists and, people in secret societies, there's all these techniques and they're really cool. Listen, if you want to get ripped body, you work out more and diet more. Great. It generally works. If you want to develop more prosperity, there's techniques. Techniques work. To a degree, they work. If you want to reach altered states of your mind, you can take mind-altering substances. It all works. It's kind of, cool. If that's what you want, you do that. But none of those surpass forgiving the judgments on your body, and it'll be healthier. Forgive the financial things that have triggered you and hurt you, and you'll become more prosperous. Well, no, but I heard if I focus on a gold-colored candle, it attracts gold. It's wax. It's just wax and thread. And the wax probably isn't even real wax. It's just some, substance, and you put a string through it and light it, and, this is definitely going to change my consciousness? No, what changes your consciousness is when you, a child of God, focus on the gold-colored candle. You're the magic, not the candle. You're the magic. It's our consciousness. That's why a wizard is known to have a bowl which represents the universe and the womb, in which things gestate and prepare for birth. The wand stirs the waters in the bowl, in the cauldron, whatever it happens to be. The wand symbolizes a focused mind. Here's the female, here's the male. Whether that's sexual alchemy, the womb and phallic symbol, stirring, but it's a symbol of your mind. The wands, it's a focused mind. The old dunce cap that they used to, some places that did occur in history, this idea of a dunce cap. They'd put this on children that were problematic. But what it was actually meant to, the symbol, the point, focus your mind. You're drifting, you're not paying attention. You're a dunce is gross, but all it is this might help you focus your mind. They might have, instead of giving out dunce caps, handed out wands. Now, do you want anything? Focus your mind and point that wand at it. And then you can make the wand magical, but it isn't the wand. It's a piece of wood or whatever, it's a thing. A child of God has decided to show up and put their consciousness into something. That's the magic of it. So when you think just mind-altering substances, it's great for mind-altering. But you can't take a person who says, I don't really want to do any spiritual work. I just want to take something that takes me to the fifth dimension. And people will say, I saw such trippy things. It had to be the 18th dimension. Let me let you in on a secret. Most of the things that you experience when you're having journeys and very cool things, they're actually of the astral world reflecting fifth dimensional consciousness. It's actually still astral reflecting. And it is cool. It's amazing. Wow, I can see your words. I can see sounds. It's a trip. But what I'm saying is, it's beautiful. You want your mind altered, you got your mind altered. It's beautiful. Prosperity conscious, you use a candle and it helps, great. You want to be more fit, you diet and work out at the gym. Those things are fine. But nothing surpasses the efficiency and effectiveness of forgiving what was in the way of you being a fifth dimensional being. Forgive the third dimension, I swear, and the third and fourth kind of work hand in hand. So when you forgive the third and fourth dimension, you can't not rise to the fifth dimension because you don't have any Velcro, meaning resentments and wounds and lessons, sticking you to the third dimension. Isn't that brilliant? Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's very clear. So we realize that's the ticket. It's, all that I can do on the outside, do those things. Enjoy the tools and whatever, the means and techniques and all ceremonies, all of it. But just know it doesn't replace the most effective thing. Forgive what's in the way. Do your prosperity techniques, but don't forget forgiveness for whatever issues and resentments and programs and patterns, including opinions like, well, I still believe money doesn't grow on trees. Well, that's probably something I should forgive myself for believing. If you ever taught your kids, we don't have any money. Money doesn't grow on trees. That was a download that probably wasn't my highest self, teaching their highest self. Forgive yourself for that. Well, I've already damaged them. Now I should go to hell. No, you've already been living in hell. The guilt and shame of what you, now just make amends. Hey guys, I realized it's consciousness and we can attract abundance. And now that I'm attracting abundance here, let me share with you and watch how I share it with others. I have so many examples of that where my kids were just like, in growing up, they were like, this guy's a trip. You know, they were just always going, we don't know. Like they would get like frustrated, not proud of dad. They would get like, how does he do that? He just like, no, it'll work out. And they're like, it can't work, you know, and something would work out and they would just get all tripped out. And if their friends were there, their friends would go, your dad's like magical. And they would go, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Because then he'll start, see, I told you guys, everything's okay. Everything's easy. Just get in the right consciousness. So, you know, they would get a little bothered by that. And it's like, well, you should have had a different dad. You know, it's like, you did it. So, and knowing these things, knowing the truth, there are beings on this planet. If you're a musician who knows how to channel magically, and you don't work as hard, you didn't go to a classical training, or an actor that didn't go to classically trained, you know, studios, and you just have it. People on earth don't like you that often. You know, they get a little tripped out about, how do you do this so easily? How I want to be there. I want to, you know, the infamous Mozart, you know, with his colleagues that were jealous of his skills, and the same for anybody with skills, Beethoven or a painter or whomever else. Those who work hard at it, they're still coming from the doing rather than the being. And we can all learn to just tap into higher power. And all of a sudden, it is easier for you to write this book or share this story or whatever it happens to be. And it's not always the most enlightened spiritual people. It's just a matter of what you believe about yourself. The first American author, I mentioned this to somebody the other day, the first American author to make a living off his own writing, not a side job. Thoreau and everybody had side jobs. The first guy to achieve his own success by his own writing was Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote the words, "Life is but a dream within a dream." That's high consciousness stuff. But he was also tormented in many ways. But my point to that is, it wasn't how spiritually enlightened he was, but he did believe. He did believe, I can do this. I insist on making a living off of my writing. And he pulls it off. A gal who, Rowling, who writes the Harry Potter stuff, nobody believed in her. It was completely nutty. She develops a language. She liked Tolkien, so she followed his example. That's why she initials her name, just like J.R. Tolkien did. So she loved his work. But these people created their own languages. They wrote from another, like a parallel universe. It's like they simply wrote stories about a parallel universe. Here's what it's like in that universe. And publishers looked at it and it's ridiculous, it's silly. They weren't listening. They weren't listening to what's really happening. In a world where imagination was starting to get shelved for intellect more and more every decade, finally somebody just said, no, I think I'm going to allow imagination to come first. She became the number one biggest selling author in history in a matter of a few years. So you have to believe like outside the box. So if she would have clung to the resentment of those who said, no, thank you, it actually would have affected her success. And if not her success, her health, and if not her health, something else. Because that level of consciousness, which is not just altered by substances, it's a level of consciousness, it's who you are. That's ultimately where your level of consciousness comes from. It's based on the belief of who you are. If you think small, your consciousness is small. You can't talk yourself into higher consciousness. You can't substance yourself there. You can substance alterations, but you can't change your consciousness with it. It only introduced you to something. You still have to step up. So the idea of positive thinking and coaching, and you learn to say these amazing, sentences. Well, you have to watch your thoughts. First, they tell you have to watch your words. Don't say the word not. Don't do this, don't do that. And they make rules about language. It's conscious languaging, so that you don't say naughty words like don't or not, because those have a negative connotation. Whatever. Bloody hell, people. But back to the Harry Potter line, right? Bloody hell. So the British thing. So you have this, watch your words, but then they go, no, you're thinking. You put a rubber band around your wrist. If you have a negative thought, snap, snap, snap. All I get is ouch. I don't get shifts in consciousness. I don't go, that's so weird. When I used a higher grade rubber band, I saw Jesus. I mean, maybe if you, your third eye, maybe a flash of something, but it's not the real deal. The real deal ultimately comes right here. Who do you believe you are? And you can, well, I was told by my life, no. Who do you believe you are? I know who you can talk yourself into thinking you are. I know you can alter it this way, the other. You can fix your body and look at me, I'm wonderful. No matter how toned, no matter how perfected the body, your consciousness isn't necessarily there. Who do you believe you are? I am a child of God in whom God is well pleased. And I don't even know what that means. That's what we could say to ourselves. When you say, I don't know, what you're saying is, show me. That vulnerability, that humility means God can come rushing in. The Divine Mother can say, oh my goodness, this is great. Or she would say, oh my me. Oh my God, get it? So she would say, wow, you're like open. Yes, I am. But really? Yes. Show me. You're not going to say, well, I only need you to show me in certain areas, because that's what humans do at best. Certain areas they want changed. All of me. All of me. I don't want any part, no stone left unturned. I want you to shine light on my stubbornness, my skills, my resentments, my everything. Just fill me so that I can say, when you see me, you see the Father, Mother, God. Like, I have no beliefs that are different than God's, which sounds arrogant, but it's actually more arrogant to think you don't deserve that. So I'm only allowing God's will to be done. It's really amazing. So the three most important things we can do to awaken, honestly. Remember, it's not to be confused with, there are three relationships you have, all of us have. One is with God, one is with self, one is with others. Even if you don't have one with God, that's a relationship. It's a neglected one. It's a tormented one. It's a resentful one. I don't like God because 500 years ago I was a nun and you used to get bossed around by priests who were kind of rude. And so now I hate God. Why? God had nothing to do with that. Well, because we thought we were programmed to believe the church was God, because they told us that. So when they misbehaved, we went, God's not a very cool person. And we resent it, but that's the church. So, and it's just human beings. I know they called themselves in the Pope, vicar, or depending on the tradition, the religion, but the vicar, meaning the substitute for Christ. I don't want a substitute for Christ. I don't want a church that tells me to call people Father when Jesus said, don't ever call anybody Father but God. Then why did we start going, okay, Father, thanks for letting me know that I shouldn't call anybody Father. That's weird to me. And I'm not putting down their religion. They're just groups of human beings that are all dysfunctional. I guess I was putting down church. It just flew in there under the radar, didn't it? No, but, humans have egos, and when you have groups of humans, you have groups of egos. So you have potential challenges. Someone has to step up and say, wait. I want something different in my life. I'm allowed to choose for me. And in my life, in my household, spirit, communion with God, self and others becomes the first priority. Healthiness, it's called creating fulfilling relationships. The book I wrote on relationships, creating fulfilling relationships. God, self, and others. Now, the average person goes and sees that book, relationship. And they look at the first chapters on relationship with God. And a lot of people, They think that has nothing to do with it. You cannot have a healthy relationship with yourself or others if you don't have one with the source of love. But they don't get that. So you don't get a mass hysteria of joy, people rushing to the stores to get a book on how to nurture a relationship with God and self and others. They just go and try to find books on how to find your other. But if you're still empty, how well is that going to go? I'm going to take my dysfunctional little self over to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or wherever you buy books anymore. I'm going to just take my dysfunctional self and go find my soulmate. Why do you think you keep ending up with cellmates instead? Why do you think you end up with people that are imprisoned in ego and conscience, still attacking, still wanting you to fix them, and when you don't, they hate you, just like the last 5 husbands or wives? Why do you think that is? Because you didn't get your priorities straight, God, self, and others. All right. Not to be confused with that. 3 things we've really got to get right, which is similar to the God, self, others. Having a life where you commune with God in whatever way that is. Mantra, yantra, prayer, meditation, whatever it is. Get in touch with the source of love. Get in touch with the source of light. The sun in the universe, here in our solar system, brings us love and life and light. That's God, so go for it. Sunbathe, so to speak, in communion with God. Even if it's for 60 seconds a day, it'll change everything because you're nurturing a relationship with the source of life. Number 1. Secondly, recognize the importance. Your relationships are not just people you hit on. Relationships are not just, I don't want to grow alone. I don't want to grow old alone. You'll do. That's kind of weird. How many people would say yes if you sent them a card and said, I think you'll do? And if they say yes, run. Because even if they succumb to that and they're okay with that, then they're more messed up than you. So be careful. Your relationships are an environment or an arena of your consciousness. The relationships, this is my environment and arena for growth. A Course in Miracles, this is book Christ Consciousness. Hundreds of pages, and it's the weirdest thing. There's nothing in there. It doesn't tell you whether you should kneel, stand, or lie down to pray. It never talks about positions of prayer and meditation. It doesn't really go into any of that. It doesn't tell you what foods to eat. It occasionally makes fun of the world. You actually think that this works, and it doesn't. Occasionally. But all these pages, and what's it talking about? A Course in Miracles. Oh, so it's about how to perform miracles. It isn't. It doesn't impress. If that's what you're looking for, you would think it's a Course in Miracles. It's going to, by the time I'm done, I'm a magician. I'll know how to perform miracles. That's what you think. The book is how to create miracles in your relationship. The word for miracles, just translate it, forgiveness. How to forgive using the arena, because sometimes it's a wrestling match, or the environment of relationships. That's where you find your holiness. So it's so strange. It doesn't tell you to go and live in a cave somewhere and meditate the rest of your life and ohm yourself and contemplate your navel. It doesn't tell you to do any of that. It tells you, you know what? We're tired. It's been millions of years you people have been here and you haven't gotten it right. Let me get it down to the main point. Open your eyes and look around. Yeah? You see those people? Yeah. You have resentments toward them and they need healed. And then you'll wake up and become God. Really? I've been looking at these people for years and I never awoke. No, you're looking at them, still projecting your own stuff onto them. Forgive them, they know not what they do. You know why they don't know what they're doing? Because what they're doing is fulfilling the agendas we subconsciously gave them. Forgive all your relationships, the ones you have with God. Oh, I don't have any issues with God. Yes, you do. Why do you think you're on earth? Because you don't want to go home yet. Why? Because Dad's mad. You never want to go home when Dad's waiting to whip you or whatever it is, or reprimand you or put you in your room. Nobody wants to go home. We subconsciously think we're flawed and that God's going to take it out on us. And God's going to say, what are you talking about? Well, no, I don't. I did some weird things. I have no consciousness of that at all. Well, let me tell you, I did this and this, and, I slept around and I did all kinds of drugs and alcohol and all kinds of things. I did lots of harm. And God's going, that's funny because I searched my mind and none of it's there. You know why? Because in the mind of God, there's only grace, and you were not capable of ever harming yourself or others. So God's memory is different than ours. And that sounds a little far-fetched, but have you ever met a person that you had some sort of weird conflict with and they made up all kinds of stories about it that weren't true? Have you ever had that? And when you talk about it, you thought, what? It's erroneous ways that we live. They carry their own stuff and we all see things through our own lenses. One of my daughters once, she heard the word serial killer on the news or something, and she thought people sneak in your house at night and thrash your boxes of cereal. She did. Yeah, I had to work with her. Last week we did this. No, I'm kidding. But the mind makes these stories up. And so somebody, you didn't talk to them this week, or you were short with them or whatever. And they make up a story. They weren't as nice as I thought they were, or I must have done something. And they make this up. When you sit, it's kind of laughable to say, wow, you thought that? A quick story, which I shared online with our online groups, but I volunteer at the estate sales that one of our board members does in town here. And long story short, this big cactus needed to be moved. And it was this gal, and she pulls up her car, and it's going to be about 20 yards. I got to get this cactus, because I volunteer to move things for, help out, and people carry things or whatever support they need. So I'm just of service. Well, long story short, like I said, this cactus decided to tip over on me. So it just went boom. Now, it was amazing. All these porcupine quill-like things are stuck all over my forehead. And I'm like, she's like, oh my God. I go, just go to your car. Show me your car. So I'm carrying it. It's all stuck in my head. And I'm carrying this. And she's like, are you sure you're okay? Stop talking. Get to the car, So, I get to the car and I put it up in there and thunk, And she's like, no. Don't touch anything. I'm trying to just. So then there's this guy who appears at a lot of these estate sales. And he's like, hey, Michael. Now, what I did was I turned away, and I'm kind of, because I don't want to make a scene. So I'm just kind of covering, I'm turning away. Well, anyway, he ends up going home. And she said, I saw that Michael guy. He wasn't nice as he usually is. He wasn't talkative. And his wife goes, didn't you see him? What? This cactus tipped over and he had all these things stuck in his head. This guy was oblivious, but he was making up a story like Michael was mad at me. He was telling me this. I thought I did something wrong and you were mad at me. No, I just had 8,000 porcupine quill-like cactus things stuck in my head. It's true. It was like a week or two later, they were still, coming out and emerging, out of my head. It was kind of interesting. But it was a Christ complex thing, we know. The crown of thorns, get it? So commune with God, have some connection with God, but also recognize relationships is the arena or environment. Environment when you have healing relationships. Arena when you're wrestling with them. Stop and get this right. Commune with God and work with others. Realize how you're doing in life is determined. It's reflected in your relationships, not your hookups, not even your long-term marriage. Oh, we made it 50 years. We must be holy. Not if you never spoke to each other. You can be in the same room and be miles apart. And I don't mean one partner. I'm talking about, can you die tomorrow saying, all of my relationships are holy? If you can't, God loves you. It's okay. You just get to come back. How many times would you like to come back? It depends how many of those people you want to meet at a time. You can come back and do it all in one lifetime. Bring all the people who annoy me back. I'm ready. I'm going in. And if it isn't their soul exactly, it'll be someone just like him, and then it'll all work out, and you'll get to work on it all. Or you could do the time payments. I would like one person at each lifetime to push my buttons. And they'll go, yeah, but you have 835. So be it. I'm not going to go any more than that. But what you don't realize is you go and work on one at a time. There's new ones that are popping up. So now one turns into 10. It's not good math, man. It's not good. It's not going to go well. Just realize, forgive the 3D world. Forgive the smells and the death, and forgive war, forgive molestation, forgive hatred, forgive it all. Forgive politicians. They know not clearly what they do. In case that's not obvious. Forgive them all. Forgive the medical association. Forgive the church. And if any one of those, well, not that one, that's one you're going to need to really work on. I die daily doesn't just mean certain linear categories. I die daily means my old beliefs about myself are not going to carry with me tomorrow. I refuse. I want to be different tomorrow than I was today. Different, not more money, more health, more ripped body, but more like a different level of consciousness. I feel freer today. I feel like I live in a state of surrender. One of you is asking about knowing peace. That's where it comes from. Peace isn't established by a substance, nor greater prosperity, nor whatever, otherwise people with money would all be the happiest. And some of them have said, no, I was never happier. I just had more money and was miserable. Having more money could also mean more challenging relationships because you don't know if people love you for you or for your money. There's just different complications. It's all. People are people. We still have our lessons. And the third thing, communion with God and nurture healthier relationships. Be patient, love, forgive. And we all slip. Own it and look at yourself. Why was I impatient with that person? Why don't I like a certain type of people? Look at it and work on your. So the second step is look at yourself and heal your relationships. The third is back to forgiveness. Commune with God, work on your relationships, and practice forgiveness. Those three levels, layers, categories, those are the ones that shift us into higher consciousness. Forgiveness is the primary tool to it all. Your relationships are the arena where you play it out, the environment where you play it out, but forgiveness is the tool used in that environment. Commune with God. Love one another as I have loved you, we were told. Live in a life and state of consciousness of compassion. The Buddhist rules, beatitudes, as well as the commandments of Buddhism, you can just look at it and stop drinking and this and that. You can say, it's a checklist of duties. But if you don't understand what it really means, those are just telling you what's in the way. Behind those is love. Because if I love the commandments of the Israelites, if I love you, I won't kill you, steal from you, covet from you. See, love is the common theme. Love is the common theme. Wow, is it that easy? Yes, now try it. Ready? Go. It sounds easy because it's a word, love. But to realize there's so much more, man. Love would also mean I forgive myself for the times I'm not so loving. But to forgive those, sometimes, not always, sometimes you actually have to remember those instances, and that doesn't always make us feel good. Sometimes it means forgiving people that did some pretty horrific things to us, and the last thing we want to do is revisit that. That's because you're afraid of it. Believe it or not, if you have old wounds you don't want to look at, they become a god that you're feeding by enabling that behavior to avoid them. They become secret gods, but they're gods. Why do I call them God? Because you're feeding them by enabling them to be there. Shine the light on them. They might scream, I'm melting, and melt away. They might just disappear because you've given them no power. Let it be what it is. Leave it alone. Please take a few centering breaths. Today, a very simple meditation, but profound. Let's practice this. Allow the Holy Spirit of God, allow the Divine Mother to bring up one or more people that she knows you could use more healing with. Whether it's another lifetime, whether it's childhood, whether it's today, please be open-minded. I know some people you'd rather not think about, but if their image, their name, their behavior comes up, let's call it a right one to work on, one or more. And we're simply going to do a prayer. But I'm not going to ask you to fix anyone or heal anyone. I'm asking you just this. Hear it as though the prayer is being said for the two of you or more, two or more of you. Our Father. Can you stand with that person, hand in hand or not? Stand with them and imagine saying, our, you and them, our Father, Mother, God, whose presence is heaven. Sacred and holy is your name. Let your kingdom come to us here and now. Let your will be done in us, my brother, sister here. We're standing equal in the light of God. Let your will be done in and through us, just as it's done in heaven. Not an ounce different. I wish this, will this for me and this other person or persons as much as any being in heaven. Give to us, Father, Mother, God, the fulfillment of our needs. Anything, financial needs, health needs, inner peace needs. Lead us when we are in temptation to judge, to hurt, to resent each other. Lead us when we're in temptation to believe that we are less than holy beings. Deliver us from conflict, from evil, from judgment. Deliver us from our past. Imagine taking the hand of that person. It's a spiritual experience, guys. It's not your history. Just take their hand and imagine walking forward into the light. The consciousness of God, the bliss of God, peace, oneness. Don't judge it, don't evaluate it, don't go into deservability, lack of deservability. Just go. Surrender to God's will that we be in the light with all beings. For the next minute, step into that light and breathe in the presence of heaven. Breathe in what it's like to be in a state of grace. Breathe it in, integrate it into every cell of your being. show me, Divine Mother. Remind me who I am. And I'm committed to letting go, leaving behind, releasing this fall who I'm not. And so it is. Beautiful. Tune into how you're feeling, and you can share what you heard, what you're feeling, what you gained, what would be most helpful from today's talk, meditation, music, and so forth. Can anyone share? Yes?
Just reiterating and echoing a course, a couple of my favorite lessons from the Course in Miracles, A Course in Miracles is, I will forgive this and it will disappear. And
If I forgive this, it will disappear.
yes, and forgiveness gives me everything I want.
Forgiveness gives me everything I want. From A Course in Miracles concepts. Nice, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
And the meditation, I just saw like this whole scenario, and as the Lord's Prayer was being spoken, it just all dissolved into light. And
Nice.
just shattered.
During the prayer and meditation, things just dissolving into light. Nice. I need do nothing but step aside and let the power of God work through me. Yes.
I've studied a little bit about like the heart chakra as like being like the choice point
Mm-hmm.
as timelines dissolve from the past,
Yeah,
from things like forgiveness or acceptance.
right,
Then there's the choice of my tomorrow, the next day.
right.
The
In the heart, our beliefs become the choice point between heaven and earth, reality and illusion. Now, that doesn't mean we curse the earth, because then we're going back to religion, where God is good, earth is bad. It's the earth has been made corrupt by our consciousness being corrupted. Corrupted meaning we forgot who we are, and this is the kind of world you have when you're living in amnesia, spiritual amnesia, psychological amnesia. So what happens instead is I remember the world is changed. Strangely enough, it's not leaving earth to go to heaven, transforming earth into heaven. That's what's going to happen. On earth, as it is in heaven, means that even on earth, and it's also called back to Eden. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I not surprisingly enjoyed the part about the wizard with the magic
Oh,
wand
of course.
stirring the pots. I connected with that very much.
Yes, of course. The magician part, the wand, and yes.
In our meditation and with him giving the grace of his wisdom, I could feel, I perceived and could feel all of our, and I'll speak for individually and then collectively, all of our non-veiled ancestors, family,
Yeah.
the legions, the angels, etc., like we do in the room sometimes.
Mhm.
I could feel that of
Nice.
them with us, pouring over onto us, touching every one of our backs.
As we forgive, as we release, and as we allow new, I mean, look at the holidays. Leave the first fall. We start off with creepy Halloween, where you have to deal with your skeletons in the closet. And then what do you do next? Thanksgiving. Thanking what? The skeletons you released, meaning also hurts, hatreds, resentments. So in Thanksgiving, wow, thank you. Now I'm clearing what I was living with, so that on Christmas I receive new gifts. New Year's, I live the new life. And then come Easter, I want to take this to a whole new level and birth it not just on one level, but I'm ready to take this to another whole level of resurrection and ascension. It's really magical to live organically in the cycles of time, which the pagans did long before it was changed into other names and holidays. The pagans, I mean people just living it organically, is what I mean by that term. So it's what we're all meant to do, and where we're all going, the remembrance. We're going to take up our collection and do our closing prayer. Did you have your hand up?
I did.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that what I learned today was the path to ascension is forgiveness.
The path to ascension is forgiveness. It's okay to do the other things. Mind altering, gymnasium, workout place or whatever, diets, prosperity, all of those. I mean, you can get stoned and go to the gym. Do whatever you want to do. It's fine. All I'm saying is if you want your consciousness, not your mind, because your mind altering things are altering your mind. Are you ready yet for God's mind? You keep altering your mind. I think that's fine. You do what you want. Have fun. Don't think I care, judge it or fine, whatever. But at the same time, understanding, respect the illusion, respect where you're at and do the things you want to do, fine. Eat right and do all those things, that's fine. But when you want to have a conversation about consciousness rising, don't talk about anything of this world, because the consciousness is not of this world. This world reflects your consciousness. You want consciousness changing, you got to change consciousness. The number one tool for that, besides communion with God and besides living healthy relations, is forgiveness. That's the primary tool for that. We're going to do our love offering prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. Be as generous as you can be. It is the end of the month. For the folks in the room and online, we're creating a standard where at the end of a month, we will share with you, and we'll do this more next week, but we're changing some things. We want to make sure that all bills are paid and all these things are taken care of. So we ask you, be as generous as you can be. Support this your spiritual center. Support it. And one way in the 3D world is through your donations, so we appreciate it. Your love offerings go in the purple bags, but any extra donations go in the baskets. People of lesser means we help, or projects that we use, but in the baskets. We're finishing up a project of the ceiling lights, which cost a few grand. The ones we did do. We didn't do this room yet, but we've done the other rooms. And it's a bit expensive to buy all these things, but we do them for a reason, or any other project. So anybody that has the extra means, that would be great if you could help with that. One last thing on that. Actually, I'll come back to that in a second, but let's prepare. Hold your love offering to your heart. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. How's everyone feeling?
Grateful.
Good. Wow, we come here for a little over an hour, and it's like, is it a training? Is it what is it? It's an experience. It's like a meditation. What is it? It's consciousness, man. It's joining. It's spiritual family. There's so many layers and dimensions to what we share here. And one thing I would like you to all help me share now is our gratitude for Ananda Das. He's in the foyer over there, has a table, products, mailing list, or whatever else he's got available. Please go and give your thanks. If you have any extra, you can also share a donation to him to support his music ministry. We appreciate if you do that. From the deepest part of our heart, the deepest part of our soul, we affirm the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you. If you're a chaplain, we'll see you in the meeting room over there. Thank you, guys.